Thank you for your advocacy. You know, your advocacy for our marine heritage, for the lighthouse, for the range lights, for protecting and preserving those parts of our heritage and those parts of the character, the fundamental character of our community is indispensable. And the work you did, several of you did this spring to make sure we continue to have access to that island and continue to have access to that tower, absolutely critical. There's people in this room without whom that tower on the island would not still be there. And so, you know, thank you so much for that because we need that facility. But, you know, even more important than the lighthouse, more important than the range lights, more important than anything really built in our community to the character of our community are the people, right? The people of our community is what makes it a great place. And some of the greatest people in our community are right here in the room here tonight. And you know, you contribute a huge amount to marine heritage, but I see people in this room who contribute to all sorts of great causes across our community on an ongoing basis. So I just want to end where I started by saying thank you all so much to each and every one of you, to you as an organization. Thank you for all you do, and I'm just looking forward to continuing to see the partnership between Marine Heritage and the town continue next year and the year after that and for 100 and 150 years yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luke. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and be here with us. We know this time of year is hectic for you with all the obligations, but thank you. At last month's board meeting, Jane Kramer surprised us by announcing her retirement from the board after 28 years of service. What can I say about Jane that hasn't already been said? Jane is one of the visionaries who came up with the concept of restoring the derelict Keeper's Cottage on Chantry Island and turning it into an attraction. Well, Jane, what can I say? But thank you. Well done. Your vision, your guidance, and your support of marine heritage through the decades. Thank you, Jane, and would you please come up and accept a token of our gratitude?
It's been great. Oh, thanks. It's all these years, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's come so far, but now you guys are all techie, and I can't keep up with you. So that's why I'm retiring.
Thank you, Jane. And what a legacy you've left for us. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce you to your board of directors. And they've been an incredibly hardworking and dedicated team and fun to work with. So when I mention your name, if you could please stand up. Your incoming chair in about half an hour's time, Wayne Kaufman. Secretary, Ali Kelly. Treasurer, Grace Curry. Vicky Tamori. John Willits, who isn't here because he's gallivanting around Japan right now. Rob Campbell. Deb Kaufman. Bob Clarence. Ed Braun. who just announced his resignation from the board, so this will be his last function. And also Joan Godden, who also just announced her resignation from the board. So, Wayne and I have had the debate. Did I drive people away, or are they afraid of him coming in? But thank you all for your service. You've been a great team to work with, and I've really enjoyed it. I'd now like to call on Grace to start off the formal presentations with a treasurer's report.
May I just say something, because I'd like you to have a look. This is her picture, and on the back are all comments from the board. A real treasure. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'll be reporting on the financial position of the Chantry Island Tours, the Marine Artisans Market, the Marine Heritage Festival, and the Range Lights. And the figures that we're going to be looking at tonight are based on actuals to October 31st, with projections to the end of the year, which is December 31st. So, now that the official tour season has wrapped up, we still have bills to pay, so we'll have more expenses, and that continues all year as everyone works on projects throughout. Okay, we were going to present a 6-page report, but we decided to consolidate a little bit so that it would go quickly. Okay, we'll go back to the Chantry Island. There we are. Okay. So we're going to start off with the revenue for the year. The tours brought in $38,270.
Eric, just put the remote down, bud.
Oh,
Put it down.
it's changing. Oh, it's changing.
Eric, just put the remote down. Just like Brian.
Brian's going to do it?
Play it. Is that what I should have said? Yeah.
Yeah. So even here we fight over the remotes, right? Okay, so the tours are $38,270, and the store souvenirs at the tour base $9,079. The markets, the artisan market every Friday brought in $18,295. We had donations and bequests this year of $18,005. And grants and investments make up the $17,759. Our total revenues we project will be $101,488 at the end of the year. So next slide. So we're looking at our expenses here. Our student wages, and we had 2 students this summer, $12,804. Volunteers training and volunteer appreciation evenings and events made up $11,083. Our tours cost $25,189. So that includes the repairs for the boat, the fuel, and then the work on the island that has to be done for the tours to happen, and for the docks too. So there's a few things going on with that one number. Our insurance this year was $5,670. Administration and promotions, $11,395. And our park, the Pioneer Park and the boathouse had costs of $4,428. So our total expenses were $70,569. So on the next slide, you see our profit there for the Chantry Island Tours and Markets, $30,839. So that's a little higher than normal, and that is because of the bequests that we received this year. And we're projecting more interest income this year than other years, so that those 2 items make up a bit of that extra. Balance that we have is $153,054. The festival brought in revenue this year of $19,252, and their expenses were $14,791, and their profit was $4,461. And at the bottom there, you can see that their cumulative bank balance over 12 years of running the festival is $15,803. So each year the festival has been putting that money aside. So, okay, and the next. And the range light, we didn't have any revenue. There's no fundraising going on right now for the range light. That has been completed. We just had a small expense of $15. And their bank balance for range lights is $69,507. Okay. So just to recap that, with the three bank balances, we have a grand total of $238,363 in the bank, and that money is held by the town, and they invest it quite wisely because we do get good interest monthly on that balance. So we appreciate all the work that the town does for the marine heritage. They look after paying our invoices and providing the financial reports each month as well. So we're very appreciative of that, and we have a good relationship with the staff that look after that for us, and we appreciate them too. Okay, thank you.
Denounce me, they know me.
Okay, they
Everybody
already
knows me.
All right, without introduction.
They said short and sweet, so here I am. This year I'm happy to report that we had 12 new members join the club. Little do they know what's ahead of them. Each has brought their willingness to pitch in and help to keep running all our operations smoothly. On a sad note, we lost some past members and friends of the club. Theed Seaman, Doug Huber, Rick Pillon, and Peter Haskey. These gentlemen all kindly bequeathed gifts to the Marine Heritage Society. I only knew and worked with Peter Haskey. He was an extremely talented man and took care of one of the gardens in Pioneer Park. And to this very day, I still refer to that garden as Peter's Garden. Talking about the park, I want to thank all the folks who faithfully showed up each week to help keep it shipshape. Also thanks to Gord Grant for the new step that he put on the platform. Maybe next year or the year after, we might have to replace the whole platform, but we'll see. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Nothing like the numbers that Grace just reported, but we should be proud of this, guys. Their membership, I think we had about 65 members, 66. Weekly collections, 1,133. That does not include the foreign currency that I get in the jar and the slugs. I'm telling you. Park rentals for the people who rent the park. We collect that too. So that's what came in this year. And we'll see what went out the door. Really, we're good as far as the gardening maintenance there. I won't read everything out. The Legion, we still give a donation. GC Houston. And this year, we did do a special thing. We gave this money for the lighthouse signs that were put inside the lighthouse. So that was our special commitment, and then the miscellaneous. So there you go, folks. I think that's a good balance for a little wee club that just, you know, collects a loonie, and I have to shake that out of them. God, the troubles. And in closing, to my elf friends, we nailed it, guys. We nailed it. You're just going to have your socks knocked off when you see that float, Luke. I can guarantee it. It's beautiful.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to start my report off with the festival, of which I am the co-chair. The festival this year was, to say the least, an overwhelming success. Thanks to the hard work and efforts of the festival committee members and all the wonderful volunteers that assisted with this 3-day event. This year we had approximately 55 cardboard boats. I counted 60 some, but they said I was wrong, that some of them were used duplicated in some of the races. Anyway, we also had 150 children participate in the gold hunt. Yes, and that's all thanks to Holly, who's sitting up front here, who organized that. The Fun in the Park activities were also very popular with the families, and we had approximately 110 people join the ghost walk around Fairy Lake. Now, we could only take at the very most 30 people for 4 different rounds, so it was full the whole time. The summer jazz finale at the amphitheater at the Bruce County Museum and Cultural Center on Friday was standing room only. And in fact, there was an awful lot of overflow that went into that common area within the museum. So again, kudos to the summer jazz program. All of the activities were very well attended. Now, we do need a supervisor for the cardboard boat registration and scheduling next year. If anyone's interested, there's my plug. My appreciation to Doug Gore, who isn't here tonight, for stepping into the co-chair position to assist me with the many duties associated with this role of the festival. Due to the generous donations from many businesses and organizations, we were able to cover our costs and actually end up, as was indicated in the financial report, with money to assist with offsetting some of our costs for next summer. And yes, we do have some new plans that we're researching for next year. You're going to have to stay tuned and make sure that you set your calendar for our next festival, which is the 13th on July 26th, 27th, and the 28th in 2024. Next slide, please. The Artisans Market ran throughout the summer for 10 weeks. Actually 8 because of inclement weather, and there was 1 week that we were there that the vendors were actually 4 on each pole trying to keep them from blowing off into the wind. So we had to cancel a couple of them because of that. Regardless, it was another phenomenal success. We had close to 70 different vendors that attended our market throughout the summer. We had 45 that attended on a regular basis, and the reason we had 45 was because we couldn't fit anymore into the parking lot. So it was well attended, and the vendors truly appreciate all of the support that our volunteers provided for them. They've said over and over again to myself and to many of the volunteers, it's one of the best markets that they've ever attended. We collected close to $19,000, maybe even a little bit over, when you take into account the fees from the vendors as well as the boathouse sales and the donations. So it was a good profit making for us. Again, our appreciation to the volunteers that assisted with this great endeavor. And the next slide, please. The Artisans Christmas Craft Show this Saturday, November 18th from 10 till 4. Once again, we have partnered with the Chantry Senior Center, and we're trying something new this year. Since there are 3 other venues that are occurring this same weekend, I approached those 3 different venues, that being the Hospital Auxiliary, the Chambettes for their Christmas urn build, and the Southampton Legion Ladies Auxiliary, and said, hey, rather than competing with one another, why don't we join forces and prepare what I called a punch card. You attend 3 out of the 4 events throughout the weekend, hand it in at the last venue, and your name will be submitted for a really good prize. And each of the venues have come up with phenomenal prizes, gift certificates around $100, some $100 plus businesses throughout the community. It's just, they were grateful. They said, yeah, that sounds good. Let's promote all of them. So I entitled it Christmas in Saugeen Shores, because the Hospital Auxiliary is at the Plex on this Saturday. And actually, as I was sitting there, an email popped up, and Southampton wants to do something similar now, too, because they thought, the BIA, they thought it sounded like a great idea, and let's join forces. So kudos to us. Next slide, please. With respect to advertising and communication responsibilities for the Marine Heritage Society, we purchased 6 banners that were hung on the hydro lines as you entered and exited downtown Southampton on Highway 21. These banners, as you can see, depicted our Chantry Island tours, the Marine Heritage Festival, as well as the Artisans Market. Some of the other advertising was done through social media, local radio stations, local newspapers, as well as various magazines that are within the Grey Bruce area. And I actually had some of them even contact me and say, hey, I see that you're advertising in that magazine. Why aren't you doing it with ours? Which again is great to hear. Another part of our advertising is our webpage, and I believe Vicki is going to, I'm getting the deer in the headlight look here. Might provide you with a bit of an update about the new and improved Marine Heritage webpage. If not, you'll see and hear about it later. Next slide, please. We have many groups with whom we work and partner in Saugeen Shores. Depicted on this slide is the work that many volunteers put toward different events and activities. As a group, we participated in the Shambet Scarecrow Invasion and Food Drive. As well, the Shambets often use the boathouse for their yard sale and this weekend, the upcoming Christmas urn sale. Our worker bees took, I believe it was a 40-plus Santa float, 45-year-old Christmas Santa float, and basically rebuilt it on behalf of the Saugeen Shores Rotary, with whom we have a great partnership along with the other Rotaries within the community. And back to the Christmas float. Ooh, sneak preview. And you're not seeing all of it because the back of it was painted by our very own Allie, Gail Douglas, and Gail Douglas, the lighthouse. So it's going over Chantry Island and flying toward, if you can see on the sign, it says North Pole one way, and it's coming to Saugeen Shores. Yeah, they did a fabulous job. As an organization, we also participate in local Christmas parades with our very own toot, and again, that was rebuilt again for the second time by the worker bees. And the Peerless, we're hoping, will also be in the Christmas parades, but that's more to come, and you might find out why I'm saying that. The art school classes often occur in the boathouse, and they have stored their newly purchased mobile art activities bike in the boathouse throughout the summer, but I don't think it's there right now. The Marine Heritage set up a table at Fairy Lake for Halloween for the past 2 years. Wayne and I joined them this year, even with, I was going to say something really foul, and I won't, the really snowy weather this year. This event was a lot of fun, and Eric, I believe you counted over 350 children? 358, even with that weather that attended the event. It was a lot of fun. We also have a reciprocal agreement with the ERC, that's the Event Resource Center, AKA Pumpkin Fest-ish, where we share resources, assist with the upkeep of the contents in the shed, and we also participate in Pumpkin Fest. There are other groups and organizations that we partner with, such as the town of Saugeen Shores, which has always provided us, as has been indicated, with phenomenal support with our many and varied endeavors. Our appreciation and gratitude is extended to the town and their employees. We're starting to become recognized by many other groups and organizations as an organization that is to be envied because of our phenomenal volunteer efforts. Kudos to all of you. Next slide, please. We are attempting to keep track of the number of new members that have joined, not just the Propeller Club, but volunteers as well. This is a work that's still in progress. What I can tell you is, and I think Ali gave the number of new members to the Propeller Club being 12. We have 150 active volunteers, 99 retirees, many of whom come out of retirement to assist us with special endeavors, such as our festival and our market and Christmas market that's coming up as well. Right, Jane? Yeah. Yeah, that might be part of it. Vicki has indicated that she has 3 new members that assist in the tour base as well this year, which is great. And I'm not sure about the new captains, some of whom that are in the room here tonight, and crew and guide members that joined as well. But we weren't sure if it was 2022 or 2023. I know when you got some of your training. So as I said, we're going to try to keep better track of that in the future. Anyway, I will be quiet. Thank you.
So Deb wants me to talk about the webpage. So we are having a new web page designed as we speak. We won't know it's going to be launched soon, but it's just something that we felt we needed to upgrade. We're hoping to get into online booking and just get into, the year 2024 instead of doing everything manually and by hand. Okay, next slide, please. So I manage the tour base and do most of the booking, or do the majority of the bookings, because we don't do them online. We would get an email, and because we couldn't take payment over an email, we had to phone them in the spring. I would book their tour, phone them in the spring, get their Visa or MasterCard number in order to pay for it. So it was an awful lot of work. That's why we're trying to get upgraded. But anyway, for 2001 to 2023, we have taken 27,463 passengers. But we've also had 571 canceled boatloads, which really digs into your profits at the end of the day. But we can't help it when it's Mother Nature that's doing this to us. Next slide, please. So the revenues from 1997, and I'm including 97 because that's when the guys started doing the restoration, and they started collecting donations and stuff from the very beginning. So the tours have brought in $633,321.53. That's just the tour. That's just getting on the boat. The festival over the years has been $109,119.74. Fundraising. So fundraising includes things like we did our fish fries, we did beef bashes, we did golf tournaments, we did auctions, bingos, we've done barbecues. Like there was so many different things that they did through the years, and it all added up to $130,000. Sales in the tour base, so again, selling our crafts, added up to $174,000. And donations alone, now this is people donating money towards the festival, but also towards the boat, when we bought the new boat, because we borrowed $125,000 from the town. They gave us 10 years to pay it back, and we paid it back in 2.5. So, this club really works on paying their debt. So donations alone brought in $195,000, and that's over the years from 97 to this year. And then next one, please. Expenses. So we've had 20 students through the years, and they cost us $149,000. But we got grants for the majority of it, which is very, very fortunate for us. This year actually was the first year that we didn't get a grant, but the town has helped us because they got a grant for us, so we're doing good. And again, it goes back to that relationship with the town. And I just put these other things in here because I thought it was interesting. The fuel, that we've spent $55,000 on fuel through the years. Our insurance, we spent over $90,000. And the boats alone. So this is the work boat and the Tilbury and the Peerless. Not only the Peerless 1, but Peerless 2 has cost us $126,000 in expenses over the years. Next one, please. So I've been working on trying to get some numbers together because we are hopefully going to be doing some major fundraising for a big project, maybe on Chantry Island, maybe the lighthouse. So in 1997 to 2001, it cost $190,000 to restore the Keeper's Cottage and to get these tours going. At that time, they had 225,000 volunteer hours. Again, that was from 97 to 2001 when we opened. So the 2023 season, trying to figure out volunteer hours, it's crazy. Because it includes not only the tours, the festival, the Pioneer Park work, artisan market, parades, range lights, and so many more, crafting, and so many more projects. So what I did was I sent an email out to the board members, and I've been talking it up with different volunteers and tried to come up with a number. So the number is about 1,300 volunteers. Now that means, okay, for example, if we do 220 tours, we need 220 captains. Now some of them are doing maybe 10 times, but they still need 220 captains. That's 220 volunteers. So we figured the numbers came up to about 1,300 volunteers, and they worked 127,000 volunteer hours when you think of all of the projects just to polish the gem of Chantry Island and put those people on board the boat and get them out there. So I figured that, again, Deb mentioned 150 volunteers. So that's how many we have. And so that means that all 150 are volunteers volunteered for about 8 things. so they might have worked the market, and then they went on the boat, and they're down in Pioneer Park doing some gardening. So anyway, it's an enormous effort. We're using these numbers. We're going to use these numbers to try and gain some, to do doing our due diligence to actually apply for some bigger grants, if we can get some bigger grants, if we need some bigger money for the tower or bigger projects. So anyway, it's a pleasure working with all that many volunteers, and hope to see you next year.
Well, Vicki and Deb have covered a lot of my material, so it saves me a lot of trouble. Doesn't seem like I've been here for 7 going on 8 years. And Vicki hounded me for 5 years. Come be a captain. Only an hour or 2 a week. Right. And then she sent this thing out about volunteer hours for the year. I started writing it down and figured I get over 700 hours this year alone. Thanks, Vicki. Those Smith sisters have been talking me into doing things for 50 years. Keep it up. I enjoy it. But the best part, I made 150 new friends. And any project, whether it's a meeting like this, or the boathouse, the park, the island, all you hear is people laughing. Nobody negative, nothing. It's great. Mayor Luke said to me a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, where do you get all these talented people? They just show up and do their thing. If someone has an idea, a project, nobody ever says, oh, we can't do that. That's not going to work. All you hear is the gears turning. How can we do it? Al Smith there showed up a couple months ago with his trailer, 2 wheels, and a pile of scrap metal. Now it's our advertising sign sitting in front of Square Deal Neil's. Beautiful job. Next slide. There we are. That name is wrong. It says Busy Seniors Daycare. The girls in Home Hardwell call it Old Guys Daycare Center. Sometimes called Santa's Workshop. This is where the magic happens and scrap and ideas come to fruition and something great. Next slide. We also work together with different groups in the boathouse. The Shambets, a lot of it. They have a Scarecrow food drive. And again, this organization is amazing. Now we put in scarecrows as well just because we want to be part of it. Allie is our Scarecrow fashion coordinator. She's got to get her red bloomers in there somewhere. As every year, the place was full of food. Over 3,000 pounds this year. It's amazing. We're there to help them box up and ship it out. But the boathouse is a place to work out of. They also have their Christmas urn sale, which they're working on today. You go in the boathouse today, it's like a jungle. I thought I was out hunting again. There's ferns and pine trees everywhere. Each of these events requires us to relocate our equipment. We had to move the Santa float out today. We couldn't get to it yet, but we work around it. We all work together and have fun doing it. And the girls came in this morning. We had our radio on. Can you turn that radio? We want to put Christmas music on. Okay, I turned off. 5 minutes there, I couldn't hear their music. They were all talking and chattering away. Next slide. We also have the art school working there with us. They take it over and they do their art school in August. Again, we move our stuff out from the market. It's all there on Friday. Well, move it out. We need help? We need help. Okay, I'll guys show up and it's done. But without the boathouse and our people, a lot of these organizations wouldn't be able to do what they do. It's a well-organized machine. We all work well together. Next slide. There. Now, last year, we were working with Pumpkin Fest. With Joanne Robbins, we cleaned out the resource center in Port Elgin. She says, we got this trailer we don't use. Haven't used it in years. Could you use it? Within a minute, you could hear smoke coming out of the ears, and oh yeah. And there's what we picked up. That's after we cleaned up. We had to gut everything, clean everything out, scrape it down. The top was all rust. They got repainted and wrapped. Next slide. And there's what we have now. And of course, the big idea, we could call toot around in it. But toot wouldn't fit. So that's not going to work. Of course it will. We took toot apart, rebuilt it. We took the top, clamshelled it, took all the slides off. It fits now. We can take it out and put it back in, have it all assembled in 15 minutes. And we're all having fun doing it. Right. Now, our biggest project this year was a Santa Claus float. The one on the left, that's what it looked like when we were starting to strip it apart. You could not move in a boathouse. You want to go back from our workbench to the side door, you had to go all the way around it and weave your way around all the parts. And this is what we have now. Fantastic job by a lot of people and a lot of fun. And a lot of ideas got changed as they went. Next slide. There's what the back looks like. Santa's going over Chantry Island from the North Pole. Rotary owns or runs the Santa Claus parade, and they do our barbecues. They couldn't do it, fix it. So we got the manpower and we got the facility. Bang, that's what you get. And also, there's the Artisans Market, and Deb took a lot of that. It's one of their biggest projects. And it was a great idea. We'd only go do it 1 year because we need extra money. Now it's 3 years, and the vendors want to do it. Like Deb says, it's the greatest market in the area. And it's due to you people here. Just talking to vendors, going out to see if they need help. It creates a friendly atmosphere. They say it's the friendliest atmosphere of any market they go to. 3 years ago, I knew nothing about markets. I thought they were all flea markets. Boy, did Deb straighten me out. The first year, the first day, it took us 3 to 3.5 hours to set it up, not over 2 hours to take it down. We set it up and take it down in a half an hour now. The hardest job was getting the tent tops back in the bags. And you can all help. Also, we do outside the park. Next slide. The cannons. Cannon Gord, as we call them. He's fallen in love with these two pieces of steel. The frames on them were starting to rot out and fall apart, so Gord rebuilt those. And he also rebuilt the steps. Next slide. And the steps. You step on those, even at a festival, they were going up and down. And whoa, we got to get rid of those. So we built new steps, and now the only big thing with the cannons, keep stuffing junk in them. Pop cans. And dog doo-doo bags. Yeah. So Gord is making up a couple of bungs to plug them off, and that will be it. Hopefully. There has been one suggestion, maybe we would turn it into a time capsule. What do you think of that, Mark or Luke? Yeah. But upcoming work for the winter, we never stop. Santa Claus float, oh, that's done. We'll find something else. We also work with the yacht club. We use their barge for putting our weight anchors and stuff in a lot, but it's in rough shape. And the trailer's in rough shape. So that's our project for this year, start taking that apart. And it's coming to a boathouse near you. And Phil, close, I want to thank everybody for helping. Like, there's all kinds of guys show up, some maybe an hour here and there, but every hand makes a difference. Give an hour, give 700 hours, doesn't matter. We all work together, have a good time. And thank you for the ton of laughs I've had in that boathouse. Thank you.
Okay, John Willits isn't here, as I mentioned, so I will be doing his presentation for him. And oops, I forgot to print out a hard copy to read from as it's up on the screen. So I've pulled it up online and I'll read from here. So with that, that is John, that is not me. That's the guy who's doing this presentation. So, we do a lot of restoration. Motto. We have done so much with so little for so long, we can do nothing or anything with nothing now. So I'm going to talk about the tower and DFO, the untold story. But first of all, one of the things John and I do together is work on the on-water training of captains and crew. And over the years, we put together a number of standard operating procedures, and we'll be working on more this year. So we'll have a captain's checklist, man overboard procedures, fog procedures, refueling, communication protocols with contacts and channels, incident reporting, and weather operating criteria. Moving on to the tower condition, just at this time last year, we received a report from Lighthouse Bill. There was a completed assessment and a report of his estimate of restoration work. The quantities that he gave included, in my estimation, really inflated numbers. He was estimating 98 stones had to be replaced and 21 refaced. The good news is the engineering report this year disagreed, said there's way too many and the stone sizes are much smaller, and there's good local sources that can provide the stone quickly and easily. So we had new challenges with the new lease coming up that was to start in this spring. DFO had been John's main role since being on the board in 2017. And he had a good relationship with them. But during the time since 2017, the DFO and Canada Coast Guard merged. New management means new directives, new priorities. We were presented with a new lease agreement in March of this year. Problem was, it was a shorter term with restrictions. A 1-year term, not the expected 5-year term. No tower access for DFO-owned towers across the country, including Chantry. That meant we could run tours to the island, but we couldn't take anyone into the lighthouse and up to the top like we've been doing safely and efficiently for over 20 years. It didn't take much to sort it out. Yeah. Well, over 6 months, John alone had over 400 emails on file. Between the two of us, we had logged over 100 phone calls. We prepared a major submission to DFO outlining the marine heritage's history, our safety protocols, our standard operating procedures. We did a lot of research, and then the negotiations began. We engaged Mayor Luke, town staff, our MP, Ben Lobb, we understood there was some pressure to find a solution. And we worked really well with the town and DFO. DFO, because of all the changes and mergers, had challenges. They had no current condition reports, no record of any green light for us to operate, no record of giving us the key. And yet, if you were at the volunteer appreciation event in August, you saw the letter from DFO to the Marine Heritage Society, here's your key. Anyway, they had no site visits by people to verify the conditions. They had no terms of reference. They had no staff assigned. The original DFO staff had retired, and they had no budget for an assessment. They were between a rock and a hard place. Each item that they needed, if expedited, would take 12 months or more to do. We had 2 months till the season began. So we made them an offer, and we had experience with the firms that DFO used. We had copies of 2007 and a 2017 assessment reports, complete with recommendations to improve the operation. Every one of those recommendations we had completed. We had an internal understanding of the processes DFO had to go through, and we had the active attention of our mayor and our MP, which helped significantly. So then we made them the offer they couldn't refuse. Okay, so we'll provide you with the terms of reference for an assessment that you've used previously. We'll hire an engineering firm that you've used previously. We'll pay for it, and you can have your staff come and attend to verify the results. If we do that, will you accept the results? Well, the Senior Director of Engineering said yes. The Regional Director said yes, and then called back an hour later. That's a great idea. If we hire 2 other engineering firms, can they come with you and do their assessments at the same time? One of them being an environmental assessment looking for hazardous goods, and the other to develop a 10-year maintenance plan, which we've been asking for decades. So win-win. So on May 11th, 3 engineering firms, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Marine Heritage went to the island. The assessment was completed. At the end of the assessment, we were given a verbal green light and the formal reports and the lease to follow. It was a great success. In the meantime, we were working on insurance, we were working on waiver forms, and a 2-year lease got worked out. So we now have access to the tower. A 10-year plan is in the works with DFO, the town, and Marine Heritage working on it. We've got to divide up the responsibilities, the tasks, the costs, but we're back in business, which is great news. So, Wayne, over to you.
Before I start, I'd like to give an extra round of applause for the work, enormous amount of work that Eric and John, the guys that's in Japan, it was countless hours, as you saw, hundreds of emails and phone calls. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the work they did this spring, so, and the support of your town. And on another note, do we need an environmental break? We're about halfway through the program. I'm just throwing it out there. Are we okay to keep going, or? So I now have a passion that I'm going to talk about. Oh, carry on, Brian. So, So the fleet. I know these slides pretty well because I've been doing this presentation for a little while now. The toot worked very well last year. We didn't have very many problems with it. We had a lot of fun. And as was covered earlier, we did tear them apart in January and took the top off and made it fit into the trailer, and then we have to put it back on every time we take it out, but works great. Tilbury, it's a workhorse. We got that new motor on it. That boat is a workhorse. Now let's talk about the Peerless. 225 Yamaha. Next slide, please. Is it time to replace? It was manufactured in 2010, so it's 13 years old. It has over 2,000 hours on it. The life expectancy of an outboard four-stroke engine is estimated at between 1,500 and 3,000 hours. Annual maintenance costs have been going up the last few years. Major work again this winter, estimated at approximately $7,000. And we've had a request from the fire department to install twins. So I ran with that. Replace with twin 200 horsepower. It gives you another 175 horsepower. 2 inline 4 cylinders, and that's the weight of them. The engine configuration, the twin engine configuration, fuel efficient, safety of the second engine, and again, full support of the Saugeen Fire Department. Options. Helmmaster controls, state-of-the-art joystick controls. I would not, well, I'm not, I was going to jump ahead. So Helmmaster is the new latest technology. It's been on board ships for many, many, many years. All of the lake freighters are steered by a joystick now. It's only been in the last few years that it's been brought to the smaller vessels. So as you can see, that's a joystick on your left. And if I can use this controller as an example, if I want to move the boat in that direction, I tip it that way. If I want to move the boat this direction, I tip it that way. If I want the boat to turn, I turn it. It turns in the direction of the controller. An 8-year-old child can control the boat with this controller. But the amazing part of it is, without a bow thruster, you then can take that controller, and if I want the boat to move that way, I do this. And the whole boat literally moves straight sideways, or that way. So landing at the island and landing at the dock and the river should become intuitive for our captains. I've got some quotes I'm going to share with you later. You'll be able to captain the boat. You need your SVOP, though, and that's 26 hours of training, okay? Next slide, please. So you can go through this, Brian, so I've talked about that. So let's talk about some information, reasoning behind the more horsepower in the twin engines. Maximum passengers is 12, and we fill it almost every day. But the maximum horsepower is 425, and we only had 225. I actually found in my research that if you want to estimate the power required to drive a boat, you take the weight of the boat and you divide it by 25. Well, if you do that with our boat, you end up with 400 horsepower. So, twin configurations are safer. They convey comfort to the passengers when they walk up and look at it. Oh, this is a twin engine application. If one engine fails, I can get home. Those are priceless things that people look at when they walk by the boat. The Helmmaster control will aid this as well, and it comes when it comes to docking both in the river and the island. Twin configurations may be more expensive to operate. That's a dartboard. The more research I did, the more I didn't understand the research. One company will say we'll save money because we aren't pushing as hard with 2 propellers as we would with 1. We're going from 2 4-cylinders, and the current 225 is a 6-cylinder. So we're only increasing 2 cylinders, but yet we're going up in a lot of horsepower. Next slide, please, Brian. The dealer feels that we will consume a very similar amount of fuel because we're going to have 2 propellers cutting clean water, and it's easier to push the boat through the water. The fire department uses the Peerless for up to 3-mile offshore search and rescue, more efficient and safer for them. Large vessels, as I mentioned, have been using this for years. The technology of the engine, the new Yamaha engines, the 150 horsepower motor is identical to the 200 horsepower. You put them side by side and you can't tell them apart other than the number on the back. So next slide, please. So yes, for the following reasons, do we need twins? Perceived safety and comfort and comfort level, being able to return to the dock on one engine. Fire department has requested 2 engines. Better control for docking with state-of-the-art technology. Better control for fully loaded vessel in heavy weather. And the most important reason to go with the twin configuration and the joystick control, I think says it right here, general safety of our volunteers and passengers, both perceived and actual. Next slide, please. So for about the same cost as replacing the 225, we can put twin 200s and state-of-the-art controls on. Even if our operational costs do go up, it will not be significant. It would not outweigh the advantages of having the second motor installed. This is a one-time upgrade to twins that we've been offered financial assistance from Saugeen Fire Department because they've requested to have twin engines on the rescue boat. So again, this is an offer that I don't know that would be here next year if we decided to wait on this. And our motor is 13 years old. So I'm saying that we will have, if the board approved this last night, so the boat is already out of the marina tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The safe, reliable tours, water rescue boat for the next 10 years. We've had a great 10 years with this existing motor. I'm looking forward to the next 10. Next slide, Brian. So the Peerless is a very safe hull. But the question I was asked, well, why wouldn't we buy a new boat? The Peerless is a very safe, reliable boat. I'll show you some slides in a minute that the Coast Guard now are moving back to that design as opposed to the ribs that they've been deploying. It puts their members in out of the weather. The ribs are open air, and they're all out, and they hit a wave, and that wave goes over the boat. So I pitched this to the board, and I suggested that a plan be put in place to actually replace the Peerless in possibly 10 to 12 years. So at that time, you evaluate the hull, and which it has to go through its tests anyway. But so we're doing this installation. We should be good for the next 10 to 12 years. Next slide. So in my homework, I was actually in Parry Sound at Connor and Stanley Boats. And I actually talked to the engineer that, you notice this is a familiar boat. This is actually on their website still. And that was 12 years ago that we bought this boat. I talked to the engineer when I was investigating this. So it was interesting to see that they're still using it. And if you look at the bottom left, next slide, Brian, please. Barrie Police just bought Peerless 3. They painted it white, put twin engines on it, but doesn't that look familiar? And that's brand new. So they're still building this boat because it is such a good, reliable boat. So, well, I was asked at the board meeting when I was going to budget for the helicopter. I said I'd wait a year. So again, I did a whole lot of homework. I learned a whole lot about twin installations and the new joystick controls. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I spent a lot of time, a lot of reading, and I'm very happy that the board approved the purchase. And like I said, the boat's going to the marina tomorrow as he's going to Costa Rica, so we're going to get it started. But he assured me he will have it ready for our 1st of May run to the island. So, thank you.
Well, everybody have a stretch and everything else. I'm going to be very brief about this. You've heard about our big issues that have been going on. My job is as supervisor of the island maintenance is to just update you what we did on Chantry Island this year. So we had a late start on Chantry Island due to DFO's delay, but once we got that up and running, we were back in business for 2023. My job as general maintenance supervisor of the island infrastructure was very routine this year, with no major issues arising. Nancy Calder was in charge of the cleaning crew, and they kept the buildings in an immaculate shape all summer. Mary Langdon, Joan Godden, and Doug Gore all worked to make the Keeper's House collection of artifacts relevant and well displayed to support the updated guide script. Allie Kelly was in charge of the grounds and flowers, and she and her crew of gardeners created a beautiful display all season, making the island a showpiece. Randy Schnarr and Gord Grant added information panels to the floors of the lighthouse that supported the script and made it better to describe the history of Chantry Island. All our clients recognized this. We had many comments from people. They said that this had a high level of care that we showed, and we received many accolades about how good it all looks and how well we tell the story. My deepest thanks to all of you who added to the quality of our tours. Gord Grant also took on the repair of the back door of the porch and the 2 supporting beams of the house that had severe weather damage. I resealed some leaks in the roof, and with lots of muscle power, the team relocated the school bell to the top of the access path so that it can be used this year by our young passengers to wake up the captain when we're on our way back to the boat. That darn thing is heavy, let me tell you. Mother Nature was kind to us this year. We had no storms or damage to our docks or to our buildings. Looking forward to next year in 2024, we need to replace the front door sill in the house, finish the rear porch, and maybe the outhouse door sill needs to be replaced. There's also a roof on a shed that needs to be done, and we need to clean up the beach and get rid of some of the brush and garbage that's there to make a good impression for our clients. But we have a problem with nesting gulls. They are always in the way in the spring, and this year the fire ban prevented us from doing anything later in the year. Hopefully in 2024 we'll get a window that we can make this happen. To any member of the group who wants to come and help on the island, extend an open invitation to anybody to come with us any Thursday morning from June to September. Bring your talents, whatever they are, and we will find a job for you. I guarantee you will enjoy it, have some fun and some laughs, and meet a great group of people to work with. I extend my thanks to all of those who help in all these projects and bring their expertise to these jobs. Thank you. Now I change persona, and I'm filling in for Joan Godden because Joan had another important thing that she couldn't make it tonight. So I have to begin by saying how much Joan has contributed to marine heritage by leading our training requirements and adding so many new members to marine heritage. Joan has really set us up for success for years to come. So think long blonde hair, a little better profile than I have, a really great person and a good friend. Here's her report. To the training team, a huge thanks to Mike Sterling, Doug Gore, Mary Langdon, Gord Grant, Randy Schnarr, and as always, Vicky Tamori. With this crew of able folks, we accomplished the following. The guide script revision to update details such as the range light restoration, the cruise script revision to add some details and visuals to the tower. Because of the massive number of new volunteers in 2022 and 2023, there was a lot needed for new orientation and training. The all-volunteer orientation session had 23 people in attendance. The tour volunteer orientation session, there were 6 in attendance. Certification training for captains and crew. Mitch Miller of the Miller Marine Training Institute out of British Columbia was our instructor. Our heartfelt thanks to the Southampton Fire Department and Brian Johnson for doing the CPR and first aid components of our retraining. In May, we held small domestic vessel basic safety. 12 took this training. This resulted in 4 crew, 5 new captains, and 3 returning captains. Small vessel operating procedures, 6 took this training, 5 are now captains. Restricted operator certificate training for 3 captains. Basic first aid training, 3 crew, and 1 captain. Training is going to be ongoing to meet our commitments and to fill the requirements of the licensing bodies that we have to deal with. So Joan has made a great start, and this will continue every year. The other thing that they were involved in was a lending library. The tour guides had requested more research material, so an effort has been made to provide these research materials for them, for all of us, really. We all know that there is far more to the role than just memorizing a script. Mary Langdon and Joan were also concerned that many excellent publications are now out of print, publications that refer to our marine heritage history. In response to these issues, a new lending library was launched for your reading pleasure over the winter with 175 books, pamphlets, and articles. Many thanks to Mary Langdon, the librarian, the bookshelf builders and visionaries who are myself and Gord Grant. We are very grateful to the Bruce County Historical Society, the Bruce County Museum, and Cultural Center for their partnership, and to the many people who needed publications from their own personal libraries. To all of you, respectfully submitted by Joan Godden. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about range lights. Very happy to do that. If we can talk about our iconic front range. This is one of the most photographed structures probably in Stogine Shores. And it's Catherine has allowed us to use a couple of her pictures. And there's a few others here. We did a major renovation on this a couple of years ago. And it's held up really well, and I just have some pictures here to show that it's held up well. There's some that are previous to it's looking really good, winter time. Next, Brian. This goes back to when we had the high water, so you can see the type of punishment that it was taking prior to the restoration. And again, another nice sunset picture. And just a lot of beautiful pictures there. It's always in, I think photographers like to get it in there. So it's, anyway, that's all the good news. Now we'll move to, well, I should say before I move on to the rear range here, we do have some money left over from the fundraising that will be put towards phase 2. The second phase of this is to try and shore up even a little bit more at the front of this range light with some armor stone or whatever. We're working with the town on that to come up with a plan that will secure that for many years to come. So that's all good news story. And now we'll move to the rear range. On this one, we thought mostly needed some cosmetic, some whitewash, some painting and some cleaning and that sort of thing. There was a little break-in during the summer which caused us to look at it a little bit more. The door was sprung. But the more it's being looked at, we're realizing that it's probably going to take a bit more work. More than just a few shingles, maybe a lot of shingles, maybe all of them, I don't know. But they're not in good condition, and there is some further damage on the inside, not from the break-in, just from rotting and just wear and that sort of thing over the years. So that one is going to have some more discussion and decide what needs to be done with that one in the spring, and probably take a little bit more money than what we had thought as well. We'll work with the town on a plan for that. And the last range light, this is one that's just not very visible to the public. It's pretty well hidden, and it's in bad shape. This is a sad story here. It's it's ready to fall over, kind of. It's inside is rotten. We'll see some other pictures here. This is from the outside. You can see the dry rot. It's at the point where some drastic action is going to have to take place with this, and some decisions that will have to be made. It's in not good shape. It could actually be a safety hazard. It could fall over with a big wind or something like that. So it has to be looked at and has to have some good discussions with the board and with the town to come up with a plan on how they will address that in the future. So. No, it's non-functional. There's no light or anything there. It's just, it was at one time. So the thing is, it is a historic significance, and I'm sure there's lots of people that would love to see that stay there and be refurbished and that sort of thing. But it's not visible by road, or not all that much even from the water because of the trees that are in the way. But anyway, that is something that we'll have to have a lot of discussion, like I said, in the next little while. And thankfully, we have a really good front range light, and that's the one that's in all the photographs, and that's the one that the tourists like, and that's what brings them to the town. So very happy with that. And then the other two are going to need some attention. Thank you.
Okay. This is a part of the program that I've been waiting 3 years for. Enough about talking about the past. It's time to start looking forward to what's coming ahead in the coming year. And with that, I would now like to turn it over to your new chair, Wayne Kaufman.
Holy, Ed must have been up here. Well, here I am. I didn't run. I threatened to, but yeah, it took me a year to get here. You're right, Holly. Yeah. Thank you to the Marine Heritage Society, Propeller Club, and multitude of volunteers, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have this position, and I would be at home maybe having a beer. I hope I can come close to doing as good a job as a chairperson as all of my predecessors have done. A special thanks to Eric for staying on for the extra year to give me an opportunity to clear my plate, which I wasn't able to quite clear, but I'm in better shape than I was this time last year. I was able to find a replacement for the co-chair for the festival, which it's a fair amount of work. I'm not leaving the festival, but Captain Sparrow will still be there. Looking forward to working with the board that will continue to make the chairperson's job easy because of all the great work they do. We saw it here tonight. It's because the board, the members each have some form of activities, and they do a great job at it. Thank you. As we've seen in the report, I've done that. Again, thank you to Eric for staying on as a board member to be part of the team that is going to spend a whole lot of time with the DFO and the town of Port Elgin and our MPs. And we got a lot of work to do. We want a 10-year lease. We don't want a 2-year lease. So I'm happy that Eric is going to stay on and be part of that committee. Thanks, Eric. The board meets every second Monday at Chantry Center. And I would encourage anyone that has an interest in joining us. They're not private meetings. We don't have a large boardroom. We also are able to do it via Zoom. So a simple email to me letting me know that you would like to Zoom in on our meetings, we will be more than happy to let you join us. I would hope you would want to become a voting member of the board, but you're welcome to join us and just see and learn more about the operations, how we work. This is the best endeavors of a volunteer group that I've ever been a part of. I often tell people that we are the envy of every volunteer group in Saugeen Shores, maybe even Ontario, maybe even Canada, because every one of our volunteers are engaged, and you don't find that in any other organizations, to my knowledge. They keep this boat afloat, and you might say. And they've been doing it well for a long, long time, and I hope I can continue to lead us in that direction. Now, for the fun part. If you notice on your tables, we've got a local craftsperson that helped us out this year with the beautiful centerpieces, and I'd like to call Holly to the front. No, sorry, I'm the chairman now, so come on. Holly has graciously donated the 4 wonderful centerpieces to the organization, and I would like to have her draw. We've put each of your names into a picture, I believe. Is there any beer in it? No. And I'd like Holly to draw out 4 names for us. To the lucky people are going to be able to take these home.
Oh, seriously?
Do we want to read it out? Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah, Eric Tolton. he has a house full of them because Holly is also joining us this Saturday at the craft fair. Holly's wares will be for sale at the craft fair. So, Marg Smith, are you still online, Marg? Marg and Rick were going to join us online. I'm not sure if they're still there. No, that's. I don't. No, I don't see. So Marg Smith, Marg and Rick, everybody knows Rick was a captain for many, many years and on the board. Marg worked as a guide and at the tour base after Rick wasn't the captain anymore. So congratulations. We'll get that to her. Oh, we have a choice here now. We have 2 names on this card. I'm going to give this to Brock Turcotte. Brock and Michelle Turcotte. New members, welcome. Take your pick on a centerpiece, please. Oh, Andrew Barnicki for number 3. Another new member. Welcome. Oh, and this couldn't be more fitting. Jane Kramer. Thank you. Well, it was Holly that did it. If it was Jane. So that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. I certainly want to thank each and every one of you for coming. I look forward to. I think if you look at my slides now, it sums it up. The previous 2 slides. So we're going to be busy. So hold on. But we're going to have fun. All right. So thanks for coming. Safe home. Good night, everyone.